All right, DC Snyder Bros, eat your heart out. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Superman, the newest iteration in the DC franchise. This is directed by, of course, James Gunn. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll make this as spoiler-free as possible. I know a lot of people are going to see this movie. They did Amazon Prime screening. It's seen by a lot of people now, so be aware there are spoilers out there, but I will keep it as non-spoiler as possible. But the kind of synopsis of this movie is it's the reintroduction to Superman. Superman's been around for almost 100 years now, or whatever it's been, 75 years or whatever it's been. And so this version is James Gunn's reintroduction of Superman, where Superman has been around for 3 years. He is now like the savior of the world. He is an individual that's conflicted. He's an individual that's flawed, but he's also an individual that's in a relationship with Lois Lane, the Rachel Brosnahan character, as well as there is Lex Luthor, who is trying to take down Superman by creating some really interesting ideas. And so we also have metahumans in this, like Mr. Terrific. We, of course, have Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Hawk Girl. And it's a movie where, if you want an honest opinion, it's a movie that just kind of throws you into the Superman universe, expecting you to know, like Spider-Man, that this character is already kind of there. It's already in the ether. It's already online. It gives us a character that's very flawed, a character that's struggles in a world that is, of course, heavily influenced by TikTok and media and socials and stuff like that. And it's a movie that James Gunn is definitely referencing about the state of the world. Now, I like how James Gunn in this franchise is like, here's Superman. You're not going to get his origin story. You're just going to be thrown into the world that is Superman. In my version of Superman, my version of the DCU, you should know his origin story already. I mean, it's like the most realized like storyline. It's like the Spider-Man storyline. You know it, you've seen it, but this is James Gunn going, hey, this 3 years later, this is what's going on. There is no beginning. And there is going to be a continuation, of course, when the DCU keeps going. But that's a really interesting approach because, like the last few Spider-Man movies and Batman movies and stuff like that, there has been just kind of, he's there. It's like the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. He's just there. Everybody knows about him. They either like him or they don't. And in this movie, Lex Luthor really hates him. He has no origin. They've already kind of had a thing, and that's what this movie is doing. Now, as we see in this movie, unlike like the last few Supermans, like I would say the Christopher Reeve Supermans, or so on and so forth, they're actual metahumans in this movie. There are, people like Guy Gardner, and there's people like Hawk Girl and stuff like that. So it is trying to create a mythos that has not been seen before. I mean, you could talk about the DCU and stuff like that, but this is a whole new, like, trying to be closer to the comic book, and it's kind of form and take and stuff like that. And it introduces Crypto, which is a really fun character, and what James Gunn is known for doing, which is create characters that are really likable, like Groot and stuff like that. So with that said, after all that talking, I was really anticipating this movie, as most people are. It's going to make a lot of money. It's been getting what I would call pretty decent reviews, more mixed than I was expecting, which is kind of surprising with how the pedigree of James Gunn and his directorial efforts. The things that I've heard complaints about is it's just too comedic and it's just too humorous, and it doesn't take itself seriously a lot of times. But I'm like, that's James Gunn in general. If you've ever seen Super or Slither or anything of that nature, he has a very weird sense of humor, and I expected nothing less from this movie. So now, after being able to watch this movie and be able to digest what it's trying to do, I am really mixed on this movie, to be fairly honest. I think this is a movie that has some really interesting ideas. It puts Superman, Clark Kent's character, into an interesting light. But I think this movie's first half is a complete and total mess. It's a disaster. It doesn't make any sense. It puts so many weird ideas and ideologies into this movie that it feels so tonally inconsistent with what it's trying to do. I like the idea of like the rift between Lois Lane and Superman, and what Superman is trying to do and what he thinks is right, and what Lois Lane knows is what should be done. And that idea that what James Gunn is presenting and what this new Superman is presenting is a really interesting kind of honest ideology, to be fairly honest. But then you throw in the very comic booky stuff, you throw in the Guy Gardners, you throw in the Hawk Girls, you throw in the Mr. Terrifics, and we'll talk about Mr. Terrific in a second. But you throw all that stuff in there, and then you throw in a Nicholas Hoult performance that is just not great, to be fairly honest, as Lex Luthor, and you just get a really inconsistent tone, and you have a bunch of characters that are all over the place. There's a storyline that's playing out with Jimmy Olsen and another character that doesn't make any sense and is really cheesy and really off kilter, and the robots that you see in the trailer that are part of the world that is the Superman world are really weird and played for laughs and stuff like that. And then Crypto is played for oh, it's so cute and so sweet, but it's it's a dog. I mean, it's not gonna it has problems, but I don't know, I just found this movie just weird and all over the place. And then at some point, when you start getting into its inconsistent tones, you start getting into the weirdness that is the James Gunn world that he presents himself in, it starts to kind of work itself into you a little bit. It starts to become really interesting, and it's kind of what it says about Superman as a hero, what it says about his ideologies and the world that he represents. I like that, when we start getting into what exactly is happening with Lex Luthor's character and how it starts to move into this world of how flawed a character Superman truly can be. And then it presents some really fun action sequences that if you've ever seen any of the Guardians movies or, any of that nature, you'll definitely recognize the fingerprint or the thumbprint or whatever you want to say of James Gunn, because he knows how to shoot really fun, really energetic action sequences. And there's a scene with Mr. Terrific where he has an action sequence that is top notch. It's really fun and really energetic and really cool and just some cool stuff. It just really kind of rips when it needs to. But it's a movie that's you're sitting here going, there's some really cool action here. James Gunn really knows how to shoot action. And then you start getting into some of these characters in this movie. It's I don't know half of these characters and who they are, but they're really cool stuff. It's really interesting. And there's the cameos that are really fun and energetic. But I think overall my feeling of this movie is it's tonally weird in the beginning, and then it kind of settles itself down and becomes a really interesting take on a Superman story. But it's fun. It's interesting, and I really like some of the stuff that that it represents. Once again, people don't like the simple fact that Superman represents what it is like to be somebody from a different country or different world in this world that kind of doesn't like what they do, and then the revelations that happen, and it's interesting. I don't know. I really thought it was very thought provoking, but when it comes to the action, it is top notch. It really feels good. The CGI is good. The Crypto CGI is really good. I think when Superman's flying, it really looks authentic, and it has a really cool stuff at the end with the action sequences that happen. And I think that's a top-notch place. I just think the story is just kind of inconsistent in its tone. It feels a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where the set pieces are really cool to watch, but the nature of the characters themselves aren't really interesting. I think the one that gets the most standout of the Hall of Justice characters, as they call them, whatever they call themselves, is Mr. Terrific, who has some really fun scenes in this. I think Nathan Fillion is doing what Nathan Fillion does in movies, and when he works with James Gunn, he's just a really weird offbeat character. I think Isabela Merced doesn't really get much to do in this movie, to be fairly honest. She's just kind of there and doesn't really get much to add. Once again, it's really weird, and it's one of those things where of course James Gunn's doing deep dives and deep cuts on these characters, but once again, Rachel Brosnahan and David Corenswet do a really nice job. They really have great chemistry together. They work well off one another. I think Nicholas Hoult is terrible in this movie. I don't think he's very good at all. I do have to say, from somebody who has lived in Cleveland, has been to Cleveland quite a few times, I love seeing this, some of the places in this movie were shot in Cleveland, which is really cool. So you see, I think it's the post office or Union Square or something like that. You see at the very end of this movie. I've been in there, which is cool. I've of course been to Cleveland Stadium, the Guardian Stadium, which is fun to see. So it's always cool to see, oh yeah, I've been there. So you kind of get a gist of the locale, and they stuck in kind of an interesting corner of Cleveland, Ohio. But I'll kind of end it there as a non-spoiler take. It's a decently put together superhero film. It's not the best movie I've seen. It's not the worst. It's just kind of a mixed bag. It's more tonally inconsistent when it starts out. It kind of cleans itself out as a little bit, but it's just kind of all over the place. And then the end credit sequences are kind of throwaway stuff. So I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, that's my take. At least my non-spoiler take on Superman 2025. It is nice to see that there is some heart to this franchise that was definitely not in the DCEU. It definitely is more tonally consistent with, of course, the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. And we'll be interested to see where this kind of heads in the future as the DCEU plays out. So it's a good start. It's not like the most insane start like Iron Man was, but I think it works for what it's worth. So that's my take on James Gunn's Superman. And there you go. That was my non-spoiler review, so I do appreciate it. Comments below. I will say don't spoil the movie, but I'm sure some people will. But tell me what you think of the movie if you've seen it, especially with the Amazon previews that they had. Did you like it? Did you not like it? All that good stuff. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell. Top of the fun's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.